Commander Vorex stared at the blue-green planet through the viewing portal of the flagship Dominion. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of anticipation among his species. The Krelnar Empire had conquered 17 planetary systems across 3 galaxies, but Earth represented something special. Intelligence suggested these humans possessed remarkable adaptability, a trait both fascinating and dangerous. Supreme Commander. Sub-Lieutenant Draz approached with a salute, 3-fingered hand pressed against his armored chest. The invasion fleet is assembled. 1 million of our finest warriors await your command. Vorex turned, his scaled skin reflecting the ambient light of the bridge. 1 million soldiers against a population of 8 billion primitives. Excessive, wouldn't you say? The High Council insisted, sir. They believe the humans require special attention. Special attention. Vorex laughed, a guttural sound that made junior officers flinch. These creatures haven't even unified their planet. They still fight over invisible borders and ancient grudges. What could possibly require 1 million of our elite? Draz shifted uncomfortably. Permission to speak freely, sir. Granted. The scout missions. We have lost 17 reconnaissance teams in the past Earth year. None returned. No distress signals. Nothing. Vorex waved a dismissive hand. Incompetence or equipment failure. Maybe their primitive atmosphere corroded our technology. He turned back to the viewing portal. This will be the easiest conquest in Imperial history. I expect to be drinking their oceans dry within 1 rotation. Fleet Admiral Grizz approached, her ceremonial armor clanking with each step. Unlike Vorex, she had studied the human intelligence reports thoroughly. Commander, I recommend we begin with targeted strikes rather than a full ground invasion. These humans have demonstrated unusual... Unusual what, Admiral? Unusual talent for dying? Unusual skill at cowering? Vorex interrupted. I didn't conquer half the Andromeda arm by being cautious. With respect, sir, you conquered civilizations that followed predictable patterns of defense. Humans... Vorex snorted. All species are predictable when faced with superior firepower and overwhelming numbers. Deploy the first wave. 200,000 troops. 5 major continental landing zones. Let's give these humans a proper introduction to the Krelnar Empire. Admiral Grizz saluted stiffly. As you command. As she walked away, Vorex heard her mutter, May the void have mercy on us all. I heard that, Admiral. Vorex called after her. Save your superstitions for someone who believes in them. The massive view screen displayed the deployment in real time. 200,000 Krelnar warriors, each 7 feet tall and covered in bio-enhanced battle armor, loaded into dropships. Their weapons, plasma rifles capable of vaporizing tank armor, were charged and ready. Broadcast the standard surrender message, Vorex commanded. Communications Officer Pellex nodded. Broadcasting on all Earth frequencies, sir. Across Earth, every electronic device simultaneously displayed the same message. People of Earth, we are the Krelnar Empire. Your planet is now under our protection and control. Resistance will result in planetary sterilization. Cooperate and survive. Very diplomatic, Vorex said with a smirk. Let's see how quickly they roll over. The first wave of dropships entered Earth's atmosphere, creating fiery streaks across the sky visible from the ground below. Deployment zones included North America, Europe, Asia, Africa, and Australia, strategic locations for establishing control over Earth's population centers. On the command bridge, a junior officer called out, Sir, we are detecting missile launches from multiple Earth locations. Vorex laughed. Nuclear weapons. Let them waste their primitive arsenal. Not nuclear, sir. They appear to be conventional weapons. Even better, they are throwing rocks at us. Vorex settled into his command chair. This should be amusing. The missiles, however, proved surprisingly effective. Advanced targeting systems locked onto the dropships, and despite evasive maneuvers, dozens of Krelnar vessels exploded mid-descent. Impossible, Vorex muttered. How are they tracking our stealth technology? Admiral Grizz appeared at his side. Sir, I believe they have adapted since our reconnaissance missions. They have had time to study our technology, from crashed scout ships. Preposterous. Their technology is centuries behind ours. More alerts sounded across the bridge as dropships continued to fall. Sir, the tactical officer shouted. First wave reporting heavy losses before even touching down. 40% of dropships destroyed. Vorex slammed his fist on the armrest. Impossible. Deploy countermeasures. The remaining dropships released defensive drones designed to intercept incoming missiles. The tactic worked partially. Losses slowed, but Earth's defenses continued to claim Krellinar vessels. Status report on the ground teams, Vorex demanded. Lieutenant Draz consulted his datapad. North American continent, first units reporting ground contact. Heavy resistance encountered. European continent, landing successful, engaging with local military forces. Asian continent, dropships diverted from original landing zones, finding alternative deployment areas. African continent, units pinned down by unexpectedly organized resistance. Australian continent, communication lost with landing force. Lost? How could we lose communication with an entire landing force? Vorex demanded. Unknown, sir. Last transmission indicated successful landing, then nothing. Vorex paced the bridge. This was not proceeding according to plan. Still, the Krellinar had numbers and technology on their side. A setback, nothing more. Deploy the second wave. 200,000 more troops, and this time provide air support. I want those human defense installations reduced to ash. Yes, Commander, Admiral Grizz acknowledged, though her expression betrayed concern. The second wave launched from the orbital carriers, a massive armada of dropships and attack craft. This time they didn't bother with stealth, instead overwhelming Earth's defenses with sheer numbers and firepower. On the North American continent, Major Krells led a battalion of 5,000 troops into what humans called Wyoming. Intelligence suggested minimal military presence and optimal conditions for establishing a forward operating base. Spread out and secure the perimeter, Krells ordered as his troops disembarked. Standard conquest protocol. Any humans who surrender are to be processed for labor assessment. The landscape was rugged, with towering mountains and vast open plains, perfect for spotting approaching enemies. Yet something felt wrong. Krell's instincts, honed over 3 centuries of warfare, screamed danger. Major, sensors detect no immediate human presence, his second-in-command reported. That's what concerns me, Lieutenant. Where are they? The answer came with devastating suddenness. The ground beneath 2 of his forward platoons erupted in explosions, sending Krellinar soldiers flying through the air. Simultaneously, precision fire rained down from the surrounding hillsides. Ambush! Take cover! Krellis shouted, diving behind a rock formation. His troops scrambled for protection, but the human attackers had chosen their position perfectly. There was precious little cover in the open terrain, and what existed seemed suspiciously ineffective against the humans' weapons. What are they using? Krells demanded as another explosion tore through his ranks. Those aren't standard projectile weapons. A soldier beside him analyzed the incoming fire. Sir, they appear to be using our own plasma technology against us. Impossible. They couldn't have reverse-engineered our weapons so quickly. Another soldier crawled to his position, armor smoking from a near miss. Sir, communication from headquarters. The Australian force was completely wiped out. Orbital scans show their landing zone is now a crater. Cradle stared in disbelief. They used nuclear weapons on their own territory? No, sir. The radiation signature doesn't match nuclear detonation. It's consistent with our own antimatter warheads. Before Krells could process this information, a new threat emerged. Armored vehicles, primitive by Krellinar standards but surprisingly effective, crested the nearest ridge. Their weapons weren't the expected projectile cannons but rather energy weapons that sliced through Krellinar armor with frightening efficiency. Fall back to the dropships, Krells ordered. We need orbital support. His communication officer shook his head. Communications jammed, sir. We can't reach the fleet. Krells felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries. Fear. These humans weren't fighting like a disorganized primitive species facing superior technology. They were fighting like they'd been preparing for this exact invasion for years. Sir! A scout rushed to his position. Humans approaching from the east, but they are... Sir! They are wearing our armor. What? How could they? The answer became horrifyingly clear as Krells watched through his tactical visor. Humans in modified Krellinar battle armor advanced confidently, wielding Krellinar weapons. The stolen technology had been adapted to human physiology, but it was unmistakably Imperial tech. The reconnaissance missions. Krells whispered. They didn't fail. They were captured. Back on the Dominion, Vorex was reaching the same disturbing conclusion. Status update from all fronts, he demanded, his earlier arrogance replaced by growing concern. Admiral Grizz's voice was grim. North American forces reporting 70% casualties and falling back. European forces holding position but sustaining heavy losses. Asian forces completely overrun. African forces cut off and surrounded. Australian forces confirmed total loss. How? Vorex slammed his fist on the console. How could primitive humans do this? They are not primitive, sir, Grizz replied quietly, at least not in warfare. The intelligence we gathered was incomplete or deliberately misleading. Tactical Officer Jens interrupted. Sir, we are detecting multiple launches from Earth's surface, hundreds of them. More missiles? Deploy our defensive grid? These aren't conventional missiles, Commander. They are spacecraft. Earth is launching spacecraft. The bridge fell silent as the view screen displayed the impossible. Hundreds of vessels, clearly human-made but incorporating elements of Krellar technology, were rising from concealed bases across Earth. They have been preparing, Grizz whispered. All this time they have been preparing for us. Vorex snarled. We still have superior numbers and firepower. Deploy the remainder of our forces. All troops, immediate planetfall. I want every available soldier on that planet now. Sir, I strongly advise against. Do it, Admiral. I will not be defeated by primitives. The order was given. The remaining 600,000 troops began deployment, a massive armada of dropships darkening Earth's skies. On the Wyoming battlefield, Major Krells watched the new wave of dropships entering atmosphere. Instead of feeling relief, he felt only dread. They don't understand what they are facing, he said to no one in particular. His remaining troops had established a defensive perimeter around their damaged dropships, but they were surrounded by human forces that grew more numerous by the minute. A human officer approached under a flag of truce, an archaic custom that Krells recognized from the cultural briefings. Against his better judgment, Krells agreed to meet. The human was average height, dwarfed by Krells's 7-foot frame, yet there was nothing intimidated in his posture. I'm Colonel James Thompson, United Earth Defense Force, the human said without preamble. I'm here to accept your surrender. Krells laughed, despite himself. You are outnumbered 1,000,000 to 1, human. Your species is finished. Thompson smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. Look around you, Major. You landed with 5,000 troops. How many do you have left? 500. Less. Reinforcements are arriving as we speak. More targets. Thompson shrugged. We have been studying you for decades. Every scout ship, every probe, every transmission. We let just enough of your reconnaissance teams report back to make you overconfident. Impossible. Our first contact with Earth was 3 years ago. Thompson laughed. Your first official contact? Sure. But crashed ships from your empire have been landing on Earth for nearly a century. We have had plenty of time to reverse engineer your technology, study your tactics, learn your weaknesses. A cold feeling spread through Krell's thorax. The High Council would never have approved an invasion if they'd known. That was the plan. Thompson agreed. We needed you to commit fully. Bring your forces within reach. 1,000,000 soldiers, your commander said. Perfect. In orbit, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. The human spacecraft, while technologically inferior to Krapnar vessels in some respects, displayed maneuverability and targeting systems that matched or exceeded Imperial capabilities. They are targeting our engines and command centers with precision strikes, Tactical Officer Jens reported. It's like they know exactly where to hit us. Vorex watched in horror as carrier after carrier reported critical damage. How many troops successfully deployed? Approximately 800,000 made planetfall, sir, Admiral Grizz reported. But ground reports indicate they are landing into prepared killing zones. Casualties are extreme. Recall them. Get them back to the ships. Communications are being jammed, sir, and even if they weren't, she gestured to the view screen, where Krellnar vessels burned in Earth orbit. There aren't many ships left to return to. For the first time in his long career, Vorex considered the possibility of defeat, not just defeat annihilation. Prepare my personal shuttle, he ordered quietly. I must report this situation to the High Council personally. Grizz stared at him in disbelief. You are abandoning the invasion force. I'm preserving the knowledge of what happened here, Vorik snarled. Someone must warn the Empire about the true nature of these humans. Before Grizz could respond, new alarms blared across the bridge. Multiple nuclear detonations in orbit. Jens shouted. They are using our own ships as shields to get close, then detonating primitive but effective nuclear devices. The bridge rocked as something struck the Dominion. Boarding craft. Security Chief Lex announced. We have multiple hull breaches. Humans are aboard. Impossible, Oryx whispered. They couldn't penetrate our defenses. But the evidence was undeniable as security feeds showed humans in adapted Krelinar armor moving through the ship's corridors with practiced efficiency. They know our ship layouts, Grizz realized. From the scout ships they captured, they have studied everything about us. Oryx drew his sidearm. Secure the bridge. Prepare. The bridge doors exploded inward, and armored humans poured through the opening. Their weapons-modified Krelinar plasma rifles cut down the bridge crew with surgical precision. Vorex managed to fire once before a plasma bolt struck him in the chest, burning through his ceremonial armor. As he fell, a human approached, not a soldier, but someone in what appeared to be a scientific or diplomatic uniform. Commander Vorex, I presume? The human asked, looking down at him. I'm Director Alexandra Morrison, Earth Defense Intelligence. I have been looking forward to meeting you. Vorex coughed, green blood spattering his lips. How did you know? Morrison crouched beside him. We have been intercepting and decoding your transmissions for decades. We knew your name, your service record, your tactical preferences. We knew exactly how you would respond to every situation. Why? Vorex gasped. Why not? Negotiate. We tried that. With the first scout ships that crashed, we attempted peaceful contact. Morrison's expression hardened. They responded by sterilizing the contact site, killed everyone within a 5-mile radius. After that, we adopted a new approach. Vorex's vision began to dim. The Empire will send more. We are counting on it, Morrison replied with a cold smile. But next time we won't be waiting on Earth. Your invasion fleet kindly provided us with everything we need to take the fight to your doorstep. As Vorex's consciousness faded, the last thing he heard was Morrison speaking into a communication device. Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2. Let's show the Krelinar Empire exactly what happens when you threaten humanity. Back on the Wyoming battlefield, Major Krells watched in disbelief as the sky lit up with the destruction of the Krelinar fleet. Your commander abandoned you, Colonel Thompson said matter-of-factly, but he won't get far. Now, about that surrender. Krells looked at his remaining troops, surrounded and outgunned by humans using their own technology against them. 1 million Krelinar soldiers had arrived at Earth. From the communications he could still receive, it was clear that most were already dead or captured. Not one will walk away from this, will they? Krells asked quietly. Thompson's expression showed no joy, only grim determination. That was never the plan. You came to conquer. We can't allow any of you to return with information about our defenses. Then why offer surrender? Because we are not like you, Thompson replied. We don't kill unnecessarily. Surrender, and you will live out your days in containment. Fight and you will die here. Those are your only options. Around them, the sounds of battle were fading as more and more Krelinar troops laid down their weapons. The greatest invasion force in Imperial history was surrendering to the primitives they had come to conquer. Krells removed his command insignia and held it out. I, Major Krells of the 3rd Expeditionary Force, surrender my command to Earth forces. Thompson accepted the insignia with a nod. A wise decision, Major. Welcome to Earth, though. Not quite in the way you expected. As Krells was led away, he looked back at the battlefield where thousands of his fellow soldiers lay dead or wounded. Above, the remains of the once mighty Krelsinar fleet burned in Earth's atmosphere, creating streaks of light across the darkening sky. 1 million soldiers had landed on Earth, and just as the humans had planned, not one would walk away. In orbit, Director Morrison stood on the captured bridge of the Dominion, now Earth's newest warship. Beside her, a team of engineers and scientists were already studying the vessel's systems, preparing it for its new mission. Status report, she requested. Her assistant consulted a datapad. Ground forces report 97% of the invasion force neutralized. Remaining enemy troops are surrounded and surrendering. Captured technology is being secured and transported to research facilities. Morrison nodded, looking at the main view screen where Earth rotated peacefully below. And the tracking beacon we placed on Commander Vorix's escape shuttle? Transmitting clearly, Director, we will know exactly where he leads us. Perfect. Morrison smiled. Humanity has been isolated in this corner of the galaxy for too long. I think it's time we introduced ourselves to the neighborhood properly. The captured Dominion's engines hummed to life, preparing for its first voyage under human command. On the hull, workers were already painting a new name, Humanity's Reply. The escape shuttle trembled as Vorix pushed its engines beyond safety parameters. Behind him, Earth grew smaller, a deceptively peaceful blue orb that had just decimated the most powerful invasion force in Krellinar history. Pain lanced through his chest where the human weapon had struck him. The medical unit had patched him up enough to survive, but barely. Entering hyperspace in 3, 2, 1, the shuttle's navigation computer announced, its feminine voice incongruously calm given the circumstances. Stars stretched into lines as the shuttle leapt into hyperspace. Vorix slumped in the command chair, allowing himself a moment of weakness. Now that he was alone, 1 million soldiers, gone. The most advanced fleet in 3 galaxies, destroyed or captured, and worst of all, it had happened so quickly that the Empire hadn't received a single distress call. They wouldn't know what hit them when the humans came. And the humans would come. Vorix had seen it in Director Morrison's eyes. That cold, calculating intelligence. Humans didn't fight like cornered animals defending their territory. They fought like predators who had deliberately lured their prey into a trap. Ship status. Vorix croaked. Fuel reserves at 62%. Life support optimal. Communication systems compromised. Vorix sat up straighter. Define compromised. Unknown hardware detected in communication array. Possible tracking device. Isolate and destroy it. Unable to comply. Device is integrated with primary systems. Vorix snarled and slammed his fist against the armrest. Of course, the humans had tagged him. They'd been 3 steps ahead at every turn. Now they would follow him straight to the heart of the Empire. Maybe that was for the best. The High Council needed to know what they were facing. Needed to prepare. A bitter laugh escaped him. Prepare? How does one prepare for humans? The briefing files had described them as fractious, divided, technologically inferior. Nothing had suggested they were capable of this level of coordination or technological adaptation. Navigation: divert course to Outpost Station Krella 9. Avoid all primary hyperlanes. Course adjusted. Arrival at Krella 9 in 7 standard days. Vorix settled back, pain throbbing in his chest. 7 days to plan what he would tell the High Council. 7 days to salvage what remained of his reputation. 7 days for the humans to prepare their next move. On the captured Dominion, now christened Humanity's Reply, Director Morrison studied the ship's navigational data with intense focus. Beside her stood Admiral Helena Vostok, the newly appointed commander of Earth's first interstellar warship. The translation is accurate? Morrison asked, gesturing to the star chart. Admiral Vostok nodded. Our linguists are confident. This is the complete map of the Krellinar Empire. 17 conquered systems across 3 galaxies, with their homeworld here. She pointed to a star system near the galactic core. Population estimates. Based on the data we have recovered, approximately 48 billion Krellinar spread across their territory. Their homeworld holds 12 billion. Morrison whistled. And they sent 1 million soldiers to conquer Earth. Either they are incredibly arrogant or incredibly confident. Both, I suspect, Vostok replied, though after today the arrogance may be tempered somewhat. Morrison turned to the view screen, where Earth spun below them. Status of fleet preparations. We have captured 76 Krellinar vessels intact enough to be serviceable. Another 38 are being cannibalized for parts and technology. 312 human vessels are being retrofitted with adapted Krellinar tech. We should have an operational fleet of roughly 400 ships within 30 days. We don't have 30 days, Morrison said. Vorix's escape shuttle will reach Krellinar space in approximately 7 days. Once they know what happened here, they will fortify every approach. Vostok raised an eyebrow. You want to launch before we are ready? I want to launch before they are ready, Morrison corrected. Right now, the Krellinar think they have lost contact with an invasion fleet. They might be concerned, but they won't be mobilized for war. We need to strike while they are still wondering what happened. With what? We have barely a dozen ships with crews trained on Krellinar tech. Morrison smiled thinly. We have this ship. We have the tracking beacon on Voryx's shuttle. And we have the element of surprise. Prepare a strike team. Our best people, cross-trained in Krellinar technology and combat tactics. You are proposing a surgical strike rather than a full invasion, Vorstock realized. The Krellinar tried brute force. Look where it got them. We will try precision instead. A young officer approached with a tablet. Director, we have finished interrogating the Krellinar bridge officers. There's something you need to see. Morrison accepted the tablet and scrolled through the report, her expression darkening. Well, this complicates things. What is it? Vorstock asked. According to their command structure, Voryx wasn't acting on direct orders from the Krellinar leadership. He was acting on behalf of something called the Collective, apparently a rival power to the Krellinar. They have been manipulating the Empire into expansionist wars to weaken them. Vorstock frowned. So Earth wasn't the primary target at all. We were just another proxy battlefield in someone else's war. So it would seem. Morrison handed the tablet back. Find me everything we have on this Collective, and accelerate fleet preparations. I want to launch in 72 hours. 72 hours? Vorstock looked incredulous. That's not possible. Make it possible, Admiral. The game board just got larger and I intend for humanity to be a player, not a pawn. In a secure facility beneath the Wyoming mountains, Major Krells sat in a sterile white room, his wrists bound by restraints that negated the superior strength of his species. Across from him, Colonel Thompson studied him with clinical interest. You are surprisingly calm for a prisoner of war, Thompson remarked. Krells shrugged his massive shoulders. I have been a soldier for 3 centuries by your measurement of time. I have seen defeat before. Not like this, I'd wager. No, Krells admitted, not like this. Thompson slid a tablet across the table. On it was displayed the wreckage of the Krellinar fleet, burning in Earth's atmosphere. 1 million soldiers, the pride of your empire, gone in less than a day. And now you have come to gloat. I have come to understand, Thompson corrected. Your empire has conquered 17 systems. You must have faced resistance before. What made Earth different? Krells was silent for a moment, considering most species we encounter have achieved unity before developing spaceflight. They have one government, one military, one strategy. When we defeat that military and topple that government, resistance crumbles. But humans never unified. Precisely. You have hundreds of nations, thousands of cultures, endless diversity of thought and approach. We expected to face 1 or 2 major powers with smaller allies. Instead, we faced thousands of different resistance strategies simultaneously. Krells leaned forward, and you turned our own technology against us with remarkable speed. Thompson nodded. Adaptation is our specialty, but that doesn't explain everything. Your commander should have adjusted tactics. Voryx? Krells snorted. He's not even true Krellinar military. He's an appointee of the Collective. Thompson's expression sharpened. Tell me about the Collective. Why should I betray more of my people's secrets? Because your people were betrayed first, Thompson replied smoothly. This Collective sent you to die on a foreign world for their own purposes, and because cooperation might be the only thing that saves what remains of your empire. Krells's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he absorbed this. The Collective is difficult to explain to non-Krellinar. They are a faction within our society, but also something more. They believe in racial purity and expanding our territory indefinitely. They have been gaining influence in the High Council for centuries. A political party, more like a cult, Krells said grimly. They manipulate policy through proxies and appointees. Voryx is one such proxy. They have been pushing for more aggressive expansion, targeting specifically those species that might threaten Krellinar dominance eventually. Like humans. Exactly like humans. Your adaptability, your diversity of thought, these make you unpredictable. The Collective fears unpredictability above all else. Thompson leaned back, processing this information. And if Voryx returns to your homeworld, he will report that Earth has fallen. Krell said confidently. His pride would allow nothing else. He will claim victory while requesting reinforcements to secure the planet. The collective will send more ships, more soldiers, into the same trap. Krell is nodded. Into the same trap. Thompson stood. Thank you for your cooperation, Major. It may have just saved millions of lives, Krell, and our lives. As he turned to leave, Krell called after him. Colonel, there's something you should know about the collective. They have weapons even the regular Krellinar military doesn't know about. Planet killers. Thompson paused at the door. We will keep that in mind. Vorex's shuttle dropped out of hyperspace near Outpost Krell 9, a sprawling space station that served as a forward base for Krelnar operations in this sector. His wounds had stabilized during the journey, though the pain remained a constant companion. Identification codes transmitted, the ship's computer informed him. Clearance granted for Docking Bay 12. The station grew larger in the view screen, its distinctive ring structure rotating slowly to generate gravity. Vorex manipulated the controls with practiced ease, guiding the shuttle into the designated docking bay. As the airlock cycled, Vorex composed himself. He was still Supreme Commander Vorex, conqueror of 7 systems. The disaster at Earth would not define his legacy. The airlock hissed open to reveal a reception committee, 6 armed guards and Station Commander Thrax, a wizened Krelnar whose scales had faded to pale green with age. Commander Vorshix. Thrax greeted him with a formal salute. This is unexpected. Our logs show your fleet deployed to Sol system for standard conquest operations. The situation changed. Vorix replied smoothly. I have come to make a direct report to the High Council. Prepare your fastest vessel. Thrax's eyes narrowed slightly. Of course, Commander. But protocol requires a preliminary report for station records. The fleet status. Classified, Vorix snapped. By direct order of the collective. The mention of the collective had the intended effect. Thrax straightened, his demeanor instantly deferential. Understood, Commander. No further questions. I will have our fastest courier vessel prepared immediately. Good. And I need your communication array. Mine was damaged during operations. Of course. This way, please. As they walked through the station's corridors, Vorex noted increased security compared to his last visit. Armed guards at every junction, identity checks at security bulkheads. Something had the station on alert. You seem well prepared for trouble, Commander Thrax. Vorex observed casually. Thrax glanced around before responding in a lower voice. We received a Level 1 security advisory from Central Command 3 days ago. All outposts on heightened alert. No details provided. 3 days ago? Vorex calculated quickly. That was around the time the Earth invasion had begun. But how could Central Command know something had gone wrong? No distress signals had been sent. Unless this wasn't the first time the Krellinar had encountered humanity. The realization hit Vorex like a plasma bolt. The collective had known. They had sent his fleet 1 million of the Empire's finest warriors into a trap, knowing they would fail. But why? The answer came to him as they reached the communication center. Political leverage. With the loss of such a significant military force, the collective could claim the regular military leadership was incompetent. They could push for more direct control over the Empire's armed forces. And he, Vorex, was the sacrificial pawn in their game. Commander? Thrax was looking at him strangely. The communication array is ready. Vorex forced his expression to neutrality. Excellent. Leave me. This transmission is classified. Once alone. Vorex hesitated. His original plan had been to contact the High Council directly, warning them about the human threat. Now he wasn't certain whom he could trust. After a moment's consideration, he entered the security codes for a direct link to General Lormax, his old academy instructor and one of the few military leaders not affiliated with the collective. The screen remained blank for several minutes before Lormax's weathered face appeared. Vorex, this is unexpected. Your fleet is supposed to be securing the Sol system. The fleet is gone, General, Vorex said without preamble. Destroyed or captured by the humans. Lormax's expression didn't change, but his secondary eyelids blinked rapidly, a sign of extreme stress in their species. Explain. Vorex recounted the disastrous invasion, the humans' unexpected technological prowess, and his suspicions about the collective's foreknowledge. When he finished, Lormax was silent for a long moment. These accusations against the collective are serious, Commander. I know what I saw, General. The humans were prepared for us specifically. They knew our technology, our tactics, our ship layouts. Someone had given them information about us long before this invasion, or someone had given us falsified information about them. Lormax countered. Your fleet's intelligence briefings. Who prepared them? Collective analyst. Vorex admitted. They described humans as primitive, disunified, technologically inferior, and yet they had you bring a force of 1 million for this primitive species. Lormax's tone was dry. Rather excessive, wouldn't you say? I said the same thing at the time, Vorth agreed bitterly. What's happening back home, General? Why the security alert? Because you are not the first, Vorex. 3 other fleet commanders have disappeared in the past month, all operating on collective intelligence, all commanding significant forces. Vorex felt cold dread spread through him. They are purging the military leadership, so it would seem, but now we have confirmation of what they are doing. Your testimony. The transmission abruptly cut off. Alarms began blaring throughout the station. Attention all personnel. The station's announcement system blared. Unknown vessels approaching. Battle stations. Vorex rushed to the nearest viewport. In the darkness of space, multiple hyperspace windows were opening. Vessels of unfamiliar design emerged, sleek, predatory shapes that nonetheless incorporated recognizable elements of Krellinar technology. Human vessels. They had followed him, just as he'd feared. And they'd brought a fleet. Aboard the Humanities reply, Director Morrison watched with satisfaction as the human fleet surrounded the Krellinar outpost. Targeting systems locked on their primary weapons and propulsion, reported the tactical officer. They won't be going anywhere. Admiral Vostok stood beside Morrison on the bridge, her expression grim. No response to our transmission? None, Admiral. They are maintaining communication silence. They are waiting for instructions from their command, Morrison surmised. Standard procedure when facing an unknown threat. Vostok nodded. Shall we give them something to report about? Indeed. Morrison stepped forward. Open a direct channel to the station. Let's introduce ourselves properly. The communications officer worked her console. Channel open, Director. Morrison cleared her throat. Kulanar Outpost Kral 9, this is Director Alexandra Morrison of Earth Defense Intelligence aboard the warship Humanities reply. I believe you have something that belongs to us, a certain Commander Vorseeks. We would like him returned immediately. Silence stretched for several moments before a response came. Earth vessel, this is Station Commander Thrax. We do not recognize your authority in Krellinar space. Withdraw immediately or face destruction. Morrison smiled. Commander Thrax, please observe your situation carefully. You are surrounded by 26 warships equipped with your own weapons technology, which we have taken the liberty of improving. Your shields cannot withstand our combined firepower, your weapons cannot penetrate our defenses, and reinforcements will not arrive in time. She paused, letting the words sink in. However, I am authorized to offer terms. Surrender Commander Vorx to our custody, and we will withdraw without firing a shot. Refuse, and we will take him anyway, after reducing your station to debris. You are bluffing, Thrax responded, but uncertainty tinged his voice. Humans do not have the capability to— We didn't, Morrison interrupted, until your fleet so generously delivered it to our doorstep. 1 million soldiers landed on Earth, Commander Thrax. Not one walked away. Remember that. The communication cut off. Morrison turned to Admiral Vostok. Prepare boarding teams. I suspect they will need persuasion. Before Vostok could respond, the tactical officer called out, multiple hyperspace signatures detected, Krellinar vessels incoming. The view screen showed new arrivals, a dozen Krellinar warships emerging from hyperspace at the edge of the system. Battle stations. Vostok ordered calmly, prepare to engage. Morrison studied the new arrivals with a frown. Something's not right. Those vessels are firing on the station, not on us. Indeed, the Krellinar reinforcements had opened fire on outpost Krella 9, their weapons tearing through the station's outer defenses. It appears, Vostok said dryly, that we are witnessing Krellinar internal politics at work. Morrison nodded slowly. The collective, cleaning up loose ends. They are trying to eliminate Vorix before he can testify against them. What's our play here, Director? We are caught in the middle of an alien civil war. Morrison considered for a moment. Maintain position but do not engage unless fired upon. Let's see how this plays out. On the station, chaos reigned as Krelinar fired upon Krelinar. Vorex fought his way through panicked crowds toward the docking bay where his shuttle waited. He had no illusions about the new arrivals. They were collective vessels, sent to eliminate him and any evidence of their failed gambit. As he rounded a corner, he collided with a squad of armored figures. For a moment he thought they were station security until he noticed their modified armor and distinctly human proportions. "Commander Vorex," the lead figure said, removing her helmet to reveal a human female with cropped red hair. "Captain Samira Howard, Earth Special Forces. You are coming with us." Vorex backed away, drawing his sidearm. "I'd rather take my chances with my own kind." Howard tilted her head. "Your own kind just bombed the section where the communication array was located right after your transmission to General Lormax. They are not here to rescue you. They are here to silence you." A nearby explosion rocked the corridor, sending debris raining down around them. Howard didn't flinch. "We monitored your transmission," she continued. "We know about the collective's betrayal. Earth is offering asylum in exchange for information." "Asylum?" Vorex laughed bitterly. "As what, a prisoner? A specimen to study?" "As an ally," Howard replied evenly. "Earth doesn't want war with the Krelinar Empire. We want survival. Help us understand what we are facing with this collective, and you will be treated with full diplomatic respect." Another explosion, closer this time. Alarms blared as the station's atmosphere began venting into space. Vorex hesitated only a moment longer. "Lead the way, Captain." Howard nodded and replaced her helmet. "Stay close. It's about to get very uncomfortable around here." The human squad moved with practiced efficiency through the deteriorating station, bypassing the worst of the fighting between station security and boarding parties from the collective vessels. Twice they encountered collective soldiers, and Vorex watched with grudging admiration as the humans dispatched them with ruthless precision. When they reached the human boarding craft, Howard ushered him inside. "Welcome to Earth hospitality, Commander. I suggest you strap in. Our exit might be somewhat energetic." As the craft detached from the dying station, Vorex had a clear view of the battle unfolding around them. The human fleet had maintained its position, neither helping nor hindering the collective attack. The station was breaking apart under sustained bombardment, while escape pods launched in all directions. "Your ships aren't engaged," he observed. "Why?" Howard secured her harness. "Director Morrison's orders. This isn't our fight yet. We came for you, not to start a war with the entire Krelinar Empire." "Wise," Vorex admitted, "though I suspect war is inevitable now. Perhaps there's another path." Your General Lormax seemed receptive to the idea that the collective has betrayed the Empire. There may be potential allies within your own society. The boarding craft shuddered as it accelerated away from the station, joining a formation of similar vessels returning to the human fleet. "For what it's worth," Vorex said quietly, "I underestimated your species. A mistake I won't make twice." Howard smiled behind her helmet. "That's a start, Commander. That's a start." 3 months later, Director Morrison stood before the United Earth Council, presenting her final report on Operation First Response. "The Krelinar Civil War has entered its second month," she informed the assembled representatives. General Lormax's faction, supported by 17 planetary governors and 2/3 of the regular military, has made significant gains against the collective. Our intelligence suggests they now control approximately 60% of Krelinar territory, including the homeworld. "And our arrangement with Lormax's government?" asked the council president. "Formalized last week," Morrison replied. "The Treaty of New Beginnings establishes non-aggression and technological exchange between Earth and the legitimate Krelinar Authority. As they are calling themselves now, they have acknowledged our right to defend ourselves and our sovereignty over the Sol system." "And Commander Vorex," Morrison smiled slightly, "appointed as Krelinar ambassador to Earth. A symbolic choice given his history, but an effective one. He's been surprisingly cooperative in helping us understand Krelinar culture and technology. And the collective's planet killers that Major Krellers warned us about. Located and secured by Lormax's forces, with our assistance, the threat has been neutralized." The council president nodded thoughtfully. "So we have achieved peace through superior firepower." "Peace through understanding," Morrison corrected. "And yes, demonstrated capability. The Krellinar respect strength, but they also value intelligence. We showed them both. And the other alien civilizations? This won't be the last contact we have. No, Morrison agreed. It won't. But thanks to the Krellinar, we now have hyperspace capability, advanced weapons technology, and star charts for 3 galaxies. Earth is no longer isolated or vulnerable. A fortunate outcome from an invasion, the president observed. Fortune favors the prepared, Morrison replied, and humanity is very good at preparing. In orbit above Earth, the expanded human fleet conducted training exercises alongside Krellinar vessels from Lormax's forces. The ships moved in complex formations, a ballet of potential destruction that served as both practice and warning to any watching eyes. Aboard his shuttle returning to Earth from a diplomatic mission, Major Krell's, now Cultural Liaison Officer Krells, watched the display with professional appreciation. Colonel Thompson, seated beside him, followed his gaze. Impressive, isn't it? Indeed, Krells acknowledged. Though I find it remarkable how quickly your species adapted to space combat tactics, Thompson shrugged. We have been fighting each other for millennia. The principles remain the same, just a different battlefield. That is what the collective feared most about humans, Krells said thoughtfully. Not your technology or your numbers, but your endless adaptability. You turn every defeat into a lesson, every enemy into a teacher, and sometimes into an ally. Thompson added with a significant look. Krells inclined his head in acknowledgement. The universe is a dangerous place, Colonel. Perhaps together our species can make it slightly less so. As the shuttle descended toward Earth, Krells reflected on the irony of his situation. He had come as a conqueror and remained as a guest. 1 million Krellinar soldiers had landed on Earth, and as predicted, not one had walked away unchanged. The invasion that had been meant to subjugate humanity had instead propelled them to the stars, armed with Krellinar technology and an unshakable confidence in their ability to face whatever waited beyond their solar system. Somewhere out there, other civilizations were watching and wondering what this new species might mean for the galactic balance of power. Krells didn't envy them the discovery. Humanity had been tested by fire and emerged stronger than ever, and they were just getting started.